Hi everyone! Join us in this video as we travel through Austria, and this time we're staying a few days in the historic city of Salzburg. Salzburg is obviously known as the home of Mozart as well as the Sound of Music, but it's also perfectly located to do some day trips around the lake area, so we got to visit Hallstatt as well as Konigssee in southern Germany. Welcome to day 5 of our trip. We just made it to Salzburg. It is raining a bit this morning. We were really lucky because we were able to check in into our hotel, and so we're gonna get ready before we leave. So let me just show you our room. So this is the Mayberg in Salzburg, and this is a Marriott hotel again. It's pretty large by European standards, and the bathroom is actually quite retro. And this is the view from our room, so we're definitely in a more residential area, but you can also see parts of the mountains in the distance. After waiting for the rain to pass, it is now noon, and we made it to the Mirabell Palace and Gardens, which is one of the top attractions here in Salzburg, and it's quite crowded because, again, it's such a nice day. The Mirabell Palace and Gardens are one of the city's UNESCO World Heritage Sites. It was built in 1606, but nowadays it houses the mayor's office and the municipal administration. So this is definitely the most famous view of the garden, so from this angle. But up here you have the rose garden. So there's a flower section on the left, and then there's more roses there, and I think all the way there. So we're now at the area by the river, and this is a very crowded place again, and there's also tons and tons of locks on this bridge. After crossing the bridge, we reached this shopping street, which is well known for its ornate iron store signs. So there's a huge crowd of people around me because we're all gathering in front of this famous place, which is Mozart's birthhouse. And this is Mozart's Platz, and there's a lot of construction in this city. So we're trying to go to the fortress that's just behind there, and I think this is Residenzplatz with the Salzburg Cathedral where Mozart was baptized. So the tickets to the fortress cost 14 and 50 euros if you want to use the funicular, but if you don't need the funicular and you're willing to walk up and down, then the tickets are 11.20. And we're finally at the top of the tower, and this is the view that you get from the top. So this fortress was built during the 11th century, and it's apparently the biggest fully preserved castle in Central Europe. It offers panoramic views over the city and the mountains, but we actually really enjoyed the little terrace outside where we got to enjoy an apple strudel. Hello and welcome back. So we just spent 5 nights in Vienna, and today we're back in Salzburg for logistical reasons. So we have the afternoon free, and we decided to visit St. Peter's Abbey, which is right in front of me. Just before our trip, we actually watched The Sound of Music so that the scenes would be fresh in our minds. We had already visited a few locations, but this was another one that I wanted to visit. So for those who have watched The Sound of Music, you'll recognize this place because it was the inspiration to a really famous scene at the end of the movie. In the movie, there's a scene where the Von Trapp family is trying to hide from the Nazis. So the set was actually recreated in Hollywood, but was strongly inspired by this cemetery. The following day, we had a day trip planned for the super famous town of Hallstatt. There are many ways to get to Hallstatt, but we decided to take the 150 bus, then the train, and then the ferry to get there. And this took us approximately 2 hours and a half. So we finally made it after a very long day trip. So we took actually the 150 bus from Salzburg, and then we took the train, and then we took the ferry. We're finally here in Hallstatt. The first thing we did was to check out the panoramic viewpoint where everyone takes the perfect postcard picture. The weather could have been better, but you can never control mountain weather. First impression is that this town is really pretty. However, it is definitely on the small side, and there's definitely areas where there's a lot of tourists trying to take pictures, so it's not exactly a Zen experience. So the panoramic viewpoint is located on one end of Hallstatt, so then we decided to walk down the main street and see what the center of this town looked like. There was obviously a small church in the center of town, but we really enjoyed looking at the pastel-colored houses. So there's a really cute little square here. So I think this is the main square of Hallstatt. Then it was time for lunch by the lake, where we had soup and pasta and expensive mountain apple juice. Since the weather got slightly better after lunch, we decided to go back to the panoramic viewpoint, but you can see that there were way more people than earlier. Afterwards, it was time to walk back to the center of town, but then we wanted to explore the other end of Hallstatt. We probably could have walked to the end in less than 20 minutes, but because the views were so beautiful and we loved looking at the swans, it took us close to 40 minutes. So we decided to walk away from the main part of the town because it was getting really crowded and a bit loud, and not exactly what we had in mind when we decided to visit Hallstatt. And we just found this really nice quiet spot away from the crowds, and this is much more peaceful. We decided not to go to the salt mines because it wasn't exactly our cup of tea, and unfortunately if we did go to the skywalk, I think the clouds would have obstructed our view. What a friendly cat. Oh, he likes you already. Oh, looks like he's leaving too. So before we head back, we're gonna have a little quick snack. And we happen to have a swan just here. So we are back at the viewpoint one last time. I think this is the third time today because we are going to take the ferry very soon to go back to Salzburg. But it is now around 4 o'clock, and as you can see, there's way less people around us, so definitely more space for pictures. Fortunately, the following day, the weather could not have been more perfect for a day trip to Berchtesgaden, which is located in southern Germany. This part of Bavaria is well known for its scenery, its hiking, but unfortunately we did not have time to visit the Eagle's Nest this time. We were planning on visiting Konigssee, which is Germany's deepest lake. morning again. This morning we took the bus 840 from Salzburg, and after 40 minutes it brought us to the absolutely beautiful area of Berchtesgaden, and we are around the Konigssee Lake. We are planning on taking the boat, and I think the boat is supposed to take somewhere between 40 minutes to a whole hour to get to the end, and then I plan on visiting actually Obersee as well. So from the bus stop, it's a short walk to the dock, and we made it, and it's still very nice and sunny, and the water is a beautiful green blue color. Our goal was actually to visit both Konigssee Lake and Obersee Lake, which is the smaller one at the end, and the return ticket for the boat was actually 29 euros per person. There is a cheaper ticket for 22 and 80 euros, but that only gets you to the middle stop and you won't get to see Obersee. I didn't realize when I bought the tickets that the boat trip itself was going to be an experience. The boat itself was really comfortable, had huge windows, and it was actually fully electric.
Am See in Österreich. Kann auch oben an der Endstation aussteigen.
So this was actually a pretty long boat ride, but we finally made it to the last stop, and this area is so gorgeous, and I already spotted some nice cows in the distance. The views here are so gorgeous, and there's 4 cows over there, and there's 2 more down there.
Meiner, mit dem ich eher spazieren gehe oder sowas.
So while we're enjoying a little snack and looking at the mountains, we heard that the cowbells were getting closer and closer, and we just spotted this one. Oh, I think it's trying to come out. The sun is finally out, and we've decided to leave the cows, and we are going to Obersee. It's technically a very short walk. I think it's a 20-minute walk, but we obviously took way more time. But it's okay because the sun is out, and I think we'll get very nice pictures now. Oh my goodness, look at this. This is so beautiful. So there's actually a waterfall there, and the path goes all around the lake. So we just had lunch. So close to the dock there's actually a restaurant that's more like a self-serve cafeteria style. We had spaghetti, and then the weather I think is going to be nice again because it was cloudy earlier, so we decided to go back to Obersee. So on the way there, but as you can see, all the cows that we saw earlier decided it was their afternoon nap time. So most of them are actually lying down. Because it was windy in the afternoon, we were unable to get the perfect reflection of the mountains on the lake, so we were glad that we had already visited in the morning. So we decided to walk around the lake in the end because the main area was getting a bit too crowded. There was a lot of kids who were yelling and screaming. But once you start walking around the lake, it's actually really peaceful. You can hear the birds. So I think this is really worth it. We did not hike to the waterfall this time because we still wanted to visit another place, which was the St. Bartholomew Church. So it was time to leave Obersee, take the boat, and head to our next stop. So we just took the boat and we went to the church, the red church that we saw earlier, but the weather has really changed for the worse. It's super windy and the lake looks not as good, and the waves are really choppy as well. And look at this, even the ducks don't feel like swimming in this lake because the waves are so choppy. So we did the only thing that we could think of, which was to grab a coffee and wait it out. After waiting for close to an hour, it was time to go back because we still had to go back to Salzburg. And of course, by the time the boat docked, the weather was glorious again. And this is why mountain weather is notoriously fickle and hard to predict. So this concludes our trip to Salzburg and the surrounding areas. In the next video, we'll show you how we spent 5 days in the posh city of Vienna.